Okay.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I am here with the authors of Beyond Coincidence. Beyond Conditioning. We've got so many books. Beyond Conditioning, as you can see in all our beautiful backgrounds. My name is Crystal Hill. I am the CEO of Hill House Pub, where we are spreading positive messages of inspiration and empowerment to raise the consciousness on the planet. And this book is no different. We have 4 amazing authors here. 4 have already done a live launch and discussion. And so I'm very excited to introduce you to the authors of Beyond Conditioning. Sue, let's start with you. You are a returning author, so this is nothing new to you. How are you feeling today?
I'm extremely excited. I'm so excited today. What I've really loved about this collaboration is the closeness of us as a group. We have a smaller group this time, and it's just wonderful to be, to feeling that genuine connection with people and feeling like we've all got to know each other.
That's beautiful. Exactly. Yeah, there's something to be said, especially the power of 8 holds something very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell everyone what magic you are spreading in the book and in the world.
You're starting with, okay.
Yes,
wow.
Yeah, we're starting with you.
Okay, my chapter is about finding our original face. So the idea is back to the self, back to the true self, the real self. Conditioning is fine. Conditioning helps us learn ways to get along in the world. And so the message is use it, but use it with awareness and don't let it run your life. And, there are some delightful discoveries to be made as we peel away those layers, as painful as it might be at times. And it's a journey and it's an adventure. And I've shared my story. I've bared myself in a more vulnerable way than I ever have in terms of what I've published before. And I know that my fellow authors have done similar. I can tell because we've chatted, but I am longing to see their chapters.
That's wonderful. And this is exactly what came up in the previous panel discussion as well. It's that vulnerability that everybody's bringing to the table to really show a raw and real reflection of life, of the leaders who have done the work, and that it is ongoing, and that it is okay to be ongoing, and that there are ebbs and flows in life at all times, no matter where on this trajectory of shedding the conditioning and shedding the patterns that we are on. So that's what I'm so excited about with this book. It's like we're showing real life, real stories that can inspire real people. So Maria, let's move to you. What is the magic that you are sharing in the book and in the world?
Thanks, Crystal. Well, first of all, I'll just share that I'm still pinching myself at this whole magical process. It's very new to me, and I'm very humbled and honored to be a part of this beautiful collaboration. And the first thing that came to me when I heard the theme Beyond Conditioning after the initial big, strong yes was around being seen. That's been huge for me. So my chapter is called Daring to Be Seen, and obviously sharing my story about my journey from being invisible to allowing myself to become visible. And it's an ongoing process. And this whole process for me has been a classic example of how I've been able to move beyond my own conditioning, my own limiting beliefs that, the imposter syndrome, that who am I to do this? It wasn't even in my wildest dreams until recently when it started coming to fruition. So, and with the whole being seen theme, it's really about before you can reclaim your power to be seen for who you truly are, acknowledging, first of all, where you are currently, the current version of yourself, and accepting all the different parts of yourself. I think that's huge. And honoring your choices that you can make in each moment. So not sort of beating yourself up if you're not fully visible, just sort of, accepting where you are, but knowing that you have the power within you, to make that conscious choice to allow yourself to become visible. And it's scary, but it's also very liberating and rewarding. Thank you.
This theme of choice when it comes to conditioning is coming up, very, very strongly. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation, along with the journey that you're sharing and the magic. And I guess that your magic really is that you are holding a space for others to go on that same journey and to identify with that journey, right? And you identifying with your story and relating it to their own lives.
Yeah, and I love how we've incorporated subheadings and questions as well throughout the chapter to.
Yes.
So it's not only about us and sharing our story, but engaging the readers in a way that they can, ask themselves these questions and reflect on themselves and how they can relate what we're sharing to their own life as well. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. It is about that transformational experience for the reader and really taking them on that deeper journey. And Douglas, let's move to you. I got you, beautiful husband and wife couple here, and finally they're together in the same screen. They've always been in all of the meetings. One's been in the Bay Area, the other one's been somewhere else, and they're sort of playing tag team a lot. So it's so lovely to have you both on the same screen. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So Douglas, share with us your magic that you're bringing into the book.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for, as I had before, and all the ladies. I'm the only male in the whole group. So that, first of all, was kind of scary coming into it. But I realized even, being a male, we all share some of the same similar type backgrounds, even though they are different. But what I was wanting to bring was, as far as conditioning goes, my past, it's kind of an evolutionary thing to where not only did I have to change as an individual, based on some of the things that you'll read in the book about me, but I saw a lot of me in my early years in the parents and such that I deal with today, coaches that I deal with today. And I just wanted to show that, especially on the parental side, that your past conditioning or the vices, the things that hold on to you, parents live vicariously through their kids and such. I didn't realize, as I mentioned before, Alicia taught me that past traumas, I didn't realize that past traumas based on my relationship with my parents caused me to be who I was at a young age. When I talk about success being a curse, I was a very successful young athlete, but every time there was a moment of success, as we say, the goalposts got moved, or there was higher expectations. And so the pressure for a young person is extremely high, and even for that time. And as I've grown over the past 30 years in my coaching, crossing over into a coaching experience, I see that same thing happening. And I try to incorporate a little bit of education with the coaching piece with the parents of today. Sports have evolved, and we have to evolve with that. But a lot of parents and coaches don't know how to do that. And so my point, the point of my chapter was to show, intentionally, that your past is affecting your present. And you got to change some things to get the responses that you want from our young people in coaching. And coaches have to learn to change, to evolve and adapt to our athletes, young men and women today. So that's, I'm trying to reach out in that forum or in that way to show, you don't have to you don't have to cuss, you don't have to fuss, you don't have to get what you want from individuals. So if you once you dive deeper into my chapter, you'll really understand, and those who are in the coaching business and such, and not only that, but the parenting business, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I love that. Not just the coaching business, but the parenting business. That's so true. And I think you've gotten a really powerful review of your chapter that we've also posted in the Amazon description, where the person giving the review is saying any parent, any coach, any teacher needs to read your chapter, because it really helps us to contextualize these important themes that you're talking about, not living vicariously through our children, and also not pretending that, but really really tailoring our parenting, our coaching, our teaching to their needs and who they're becoming. And I think what you mentioned is that the children of today are not the children of yesterday. They're a different breed, completely different breed with completely different needs and a completely different world. So I think what you're bringing is a really, really important piece of the puzzle in the coaching business, and helping young children and young adults to really step beyond the conditioning and really stepping into living life on their terms. So I'm really commending you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So moving to Alicia, you've had quite a journey as well, releasing conditioning and recognizing conditioning, right? Like we've had a lot of conversations about, and you sharing in your chapter that it's not necessarily we uncondition and we recondition, and then like share a little bit about the way that worked for you on your journey, and the magic, of course, as well as that you're now bringing into the book and to your clients.
Sure, absolutely. So my chapter is called Redefining Success from Harvard to Healer. So I really talk about how I went from kind of following that traditional path of being a good student to going to college, and then at a certain point realizing that maybe what I thought I wanted to do was not what I wanted to do. And then along the way, realizing that the universe was really dropping some breadcrumbs, or like we've talked about before, Crystal, some not just breadcrumbs, but some loaves, some really big full loaves of bread to kind of bonk me across the head and say, wait a minute, this is not you. This is not where you want to go, or this is not where you want to be. And so my story is about going from kind of that very traditional kind of, upbringing and into school to, at a certain point in my life, as an empty nester, really, and taking until that point in my life as an empty nester, discovering the healer within me that I did not know was there. And so it's almost like since that time, just a couple of years ago, I've almost lived an equivalent lifetime of my 30-year career in the work world in just a couple of years, on my healing journey, given the fact that I did listen to the breadcrumbs or the loaves, whatever you want to call it. And Crystal, like you said, we flow in and out of our conditioning, right? So we might have a realization at a certain point. Like I had a realization when I was deciding to change up my college plans. And then I jumped back in to conditioning, and not necessarily bad conditioning, but I jumped back into that role of wife and mother and corporate person that, followed the rules of what a good female corporate person should be. And then the universe had to kick me in the tail again a little bit to wake me up again. And so I've had a series of those things happen throughout my life. And the whole process of going through this book has been, it's been the reflection on that for me. It's been the really kind of stepping back and taking a look backwards and saying, oh, now I recognize those moments. Now I can see. And a little bit of, I recognize the moments where I didn't catch on. And then I recognize the moments where I did catch on and pat myself on the back for that. So some celebration throughout the process too, to bring me to where I am. Yeah.
I really love that, the reflective process of the writing. And that was kind of the next question I have for you, is like, what was it like to write this chapter, to actually take the time to be disciplined enough to actually reflect on your life through the lens of conditioning, and then sharing it, not just for yourself in a journal, but actually saying, no, I'm writing this to be witnessed in this. I'm not only, and even more so, I'm not writing this to just be witnessed, but I'm writing this to use my story as an example to help others release, to teach something, to help others release their own conditioning, so that they can have the hope and the tools to live life on their terms. So, and you're all published authors now. So, Sue had already been, but for the three of you, it is a new thing. They're like, wow. And Maria, you mentioned you had to pinch yourself. So maybe let's share a little bit about that journey of the creation journey. And most importantly, what I actually want to bring in here right now as well is that this is not just a book project. You've all come in, Rosie Batista and myself have come together to create a book with a card deck, so that the card deck will bring to life the teachings and the lessons of each of your chapters and the body of work that each of you have developed individually for your clients. So maybe let's talk about that a little bit, about the body of work that you had to condense into 5 cards, to put them into a card deck, which is a living, breathing thing. I mean, everybody who knows Oracle cards knows that we can ask the deck a question and we get exactly the answer that we need. And the answer is in the way that the 5 keys that you found most helpful in unconditioning and reconditioning yourselves. So let's start with you again, Sue, about, it is, okay, so we've got two points here. We've got the one, what was the writing journey like, but we also have, what was it like to condense what is your body of work? What is your body of work? And how was it to condense that into 5 cards? Oh, let's just unmute you.
Yeah, right off the back of Alicia's sharing, I'm going, oh yeah. And, I haven't read your chapter yet, but, it's so much like me. So my 5, my body of work is about helping people move from the entrapment of being a performative, high-achieving, doing everything right, perfectionist, blah, blah. So getting away from having the performance on your terms. So we start with passion, number 1. We somehow get that modeled through conditioning and we become performers and we become great performers. And then we suddenly have a crisis or an insight or whatever, and it opens up the possibility to give ourselves permission to try something different, to go a bit deeper. And usually for many of us high performing corporate types, as I was, it's a health crisis. So while you're in hospital and you're journaling, you start to get in touch with, or if you're fortunate enough to meet a mentor or someone like that, it can guide you that different way. So you start to explore permission, and then through that process, you become aware that you could have a different perspective on all this. So my 4th layer is the perspective. And then from there, the life of purpose actually emerges. So the way I work with people is not to say, okay, where's your purpose? Let me help you get it. It's about how will you find your purpose when you become your authentic self? And how do we help you do that? So, right, that was the second part of your question. So I ended up with these 5. I mean, I've always been working with 4, but because we had to do a card deck with 5, I suddenly realized that perspective was really important. So my model got tweaked in this writing process, and I'm very, very happy with it now because it's true. It was just implicit, not explicit. So I made it clear. But what happened to me was, here am I thinking, oh yeah, I understand this. I've got this concept. I can talk about beyond conditioning. I've done all this spiritual development and personal work. And so I start hammering away into the writing, and all of a sudden it's like an octopus. It's got all these legs. It's too big. It's too long. I couldn't compress it. It was doing me over, because every time I tried to make it better, of course, the shadow of, is this good enough? People are going to actually read this. I'm now telling all of it. Oh, wow. And so that all started going on at the same time. And I was actually in a retreat while I was trying to write this. And so, it was really challenging because I was doing some deep work in the retreat and I was being revealed to myself as I was writing. So for me, it was like going through the ringer, quite frankly. And there were times when I did not enjoy it at all. But having said that, I came through and I've been hung out to dry and I'm good now. I'm flapping in the sunshine. And
that's amazing.
I asked some of my early readers to please give some, say some words that we might be able to share about the book. And I was flabbergasted. Every single person I asked gave me something. And what they wrote back to me after reading my chapter was just, I couldn't believe it. It was more than affirming. It was so wonderful. So what a great process to go through. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now we have Rosie has just joined us. So I'll bring you on straight away. We have just, we're in that process where we're sharing what about the card deck, what that was like to putting the body of work into 5 cards and also the writing process, which you just heard. So I'd love to hear actually from you just a few words about our collaboration and what it was like for you to put a card deck together that has multiple contributors to it, because that was a first for you, wasn't it? When we come up with this idea, let's create a compilation book with a card deck.
Yeah, and I really had I kind of had all these plans in my head, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna none of them felt really perfect. And I said, I'm going to just let all of that go, show up in the room and kind of feel all of the people. And that's what I did. And I think I messaged you, Crystal. I'm like, oh my God, this is better than I ever had imagined it to be. So when I got out of the way, amazing things happened. And what was really so interesting was that I was like, okay, what if people are going to say the same thing or repeat words or repeat like concepts? And nobody did. I think one person had to change their word like to something else. That was it. And that blew my mind because I'm like, wow, it just worked together as this. I wanted it to be a whole product. I didn't want it to be Alicia's 5 cards and Maria's 5 cards and Sue's 5 cards and the other Sue and the other Sue. I didn't want it to be all this separateness. I wanted it to be one card deck that when a person had it in their hands, they felt really cared for and supported with all different modalities from all of this collective wisdom. And that is what it turned out to be. So it really was magical. And I love it so much.
So in a nutshell, how did you even get to start creating card decks? Because that's really your area of expertise. You're the card deck queen and that's what you do. You help people do their card decks. So maybe in a couple of sentences, why do you do what you do and why should everybody have a card deck?
Yeah. So I had my own book that I wrote like it was 15 years ago. And, I had a cookbook and a journal and the book, but people still were asking me, oh, I wish you were on my shoulders, giving me like the next step, one thing to do. And so I said, I'm going to make a card deck. So I figured that out the really hard way. Like it was a lot different than it is now. And I just loved it so much. That was the thing out of all my products was my favorite thing because I saw the value in how people actually used it. And so, I just started to do it for other people. And then I created a course. And what I love about it is, I think Sue touched on this a little bit. It really brings people down to really understanding a little more about what they do because they only have a limited amount of real estate in which to say it. So they can't go on and on. They got to be really it's got to be like your pillars. Like that's it. It's got to be crystal clear, short, sweet, to the point. And that's hard for people because we have a lot of things we want to say, right? We think we have to say a lot of things to make an impact and we don't. It's actually the less we say and the more we leave open for someone else's interpretation, like allowing them to step out of their way. And I think that's why cards are so magical. And I love what it does for the creator, even more than what it does for the person that has the cards, because they really just get to understand themselves in a deeper way. So that's why I do it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just been such an incredible synergy to create a book and then the cards from the chapters. So it's I found it very, very exciting. So
yeah,
let's
and
move.
It's magical too, because Crystal, you and I met like in a Zoom room. Like we didn't even talk.
Yes.
We didn't even get in the breakout room. It's just I saw her and she said a couple words. She introduced herself. I said, I like her. I'm going to do something with her. And then we met, and then that was it. So you guys all, like this collective, all 8 of you, you know, have something really special now that, you know, you shared something that's so unique that will, you know, be with you for a really long time.
100%. Yes. It's a tangible product that we can share with clients. And for those of you who want to get the book, I'm now streaming the link below. You can get it from hillhouse.org/buy book Beyond Conditioning. All right, let's move over to Maria. In a couple of words, what was that process like for you to coming up with your 5 cards? And then what has the writing process of, you know, becoming an author, what has that solidified for you in your work?
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, it's great to have Rosie's presence here. And yeah, it was a very magical process. Well, first of all, starting with the book, with the chapter. But once we got to the cards, it was just amazing how Rosie helped us compile it all together. It in 5 cards per author. So for mine, it's like each card, it represents one of the 5 elements of my chapter. So they're kind of like sub-themes for what my chapter's about. I mean, not that I'm suggesting a shortcut to reading the chapter, but I really love how on each card we don't just share a message. We share a message, but we also share like an action step, an action plan. So it's like bringing it to life, like not just reading something and saying, oh yeah, that's nice, I can relate to that, but actually, you know, inspiring readers to take action and, you know, form practices, like a regular practice as well. So that's what I really love about it. And I mean, my cards in a nutshell are around visibility, invisibility, the dare factor, and authenticity is key, like in finding your true authentic self. And yeah, and finding the light within. And in terms of the book process, I went from thinking, oh, how am I going to write, you know, up to 4,000 words, and thinking I had to stretch out my story, to then having the problem of how am I going to condense this, and, you know, which bits do I need to take out. And so once you get started on sharing your story, you can be amazed at, you know, amazed at how much there is to share. So a very, very rewarding process. Thank you both, Crystal and Rosie. It's incredible.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's switch the order up and go to Alicia. In a nutshell, the 5 cards, what was that like for you to condense your work, your body of work that you teach, into 5 cards? And then what was it like to write the chapter?
Yeah, just like everybody said, it was the process of distilling it down was actually invaluable. So I am an intuitive coach and a master energy healer, and I work with everybody, but primarily my main group of clients are leaders who are stressed, who are trying to figure out how to clear their heads so they can do their jobs well and have a balanced life. And it really, the process of writing the book and distilling, or writing the chapter and distilling down to just 4 or 5 cards, kind of helped me solidify those 5 core areas that when I was in that position, I leaned on for support. So, you know, mine are all around that whole process of knowing yourself, growing yourself, showing others, moving into a flow state, and then glowing, celebrating everything that you've got going. And how those are just very key and crucial steps in not only leaders' lives, actually, but anybody's lives, in terms of evolving and moving beyond conditioning. So it was a tough process to really distill it down, but it was wonderful to kind of go through that reflection. It was frustrating at times, probably the whole range of emotions. The recovering perfectionist in me wanted to have the first draft be the perfect draft, and that doesn't happen in the writing process. So it was a great growing opportunity for me as well, and a healing opportunity for me as well.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't it that it is a healing, a growing, and a healing opportunity? You know, so often we think, oh yeah, I'm doing this for my business so that I can become more visible and more, get more exposure. And whilst all of that is true, there is so much more that happens, which is what I'm personally just so excited and passionate about, because you become a different person. You're really just moving into a deeper level of embodying your zone of genius, or your essence and your mission of why you're here. So I'm very excited always when I get that feedback. Yeah, it was a healing process. Yes, it was a solidifying of who I am, because that's exactly what I do it for, to be honest. It's like helping you become more empowered leaders so that you can empower more people. And so we create this incredible ripple effect across the globe, and every life that you touch in a new and deeper way. So having said that, last but not least, Douglas, let's move to you, and you condensing your body of work that you teach in your coaching, working with teenagers, but also professional athletes. What was that like for you, and how was that writing journey?
First, let me thank, can I touch on the cards for just a second? And that was, Rosie and I had a one-on-one because I was all over the place. And she said, call me. So I called her up, and we had a one-on-one, and we had a good talk. And so to break things down for me, because this was one of the scariest things I've ever done. So she got me focused, which was one of the cards that's in the deck. So it was like, okay, focus on a word that jumps out at you. So I focused on a word that jumped out, and the next question was, what does that word mean to you? And so she did an excellent job of making me go through the process of just breaking a word down and then applying it, so that it made sense on the card. It was not only a statement or a question, but it turned into a challenge at the end, which we ask the reader to participate with us, using that word and apply it to their life, to their everyday. That was eye-opening, to be honest with you, to take a word and put it on that card. And when the people see the reader, you get a chance to see those cards, it will. It's kind of hard to let go of that. You know what I mean, Rosie? When we talked about that, it was kind of an aha moment. It was aha moments, and it was just based on a word. And so I really love that process. And now moving to you, as far as the writing, this experience has to be one of the greatest things I've ever experienced, because I'm sitting here right now looking at the UK in Maria. I'm looking at Australia with Sue, and Australia with Crystal, and then the United States. This is all, I never imagined being in that arena with people from all over the world. So it's real. And it is, as challenging as it was, it made me feel confident myself. And I just said, I looked at my wife and I said, I can do this. Because she always told me that, you can do this. But to believe it for myself and have these ladies all you ladies to support me in that, I can't, say enough about it, the experience, in that way. So I wanted to come at it from that way. And I appreciate all of you, as I said to you before. So I say it to you now publicly. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just so grateful that you had the courage to come into a book full of women, knowing that there was a book full of women, and to hold your own in that, and also in a completely different area of expertise. Here we are, we're healers, we're wellness practitioners, we're transition coaches. And here you are, a professional football, soccer mentor, coach, and teacher. So yeah, very big kudos to you too. And it just goes to show what can happen when we take ourselves out of the comfort zone of what is familiar to us, and the growth that can come from that. So I'm just so excited that you are all here, and want to close the stream, our panel together here by, and we're already at the 35-minute mark, so maybe just one sentence, really concise. What is it that you would like the reader to take away from your chapter? And we'll start with Douglas, and then we'll go in reverse order.
One sentence.
If you can, or whoever has a sentence can start. Let's do that. Let's take the pressure off you.
let me think a moment.
Yes, somebody else.
I'll go. I would say, love yourself. Show yourself love. That's the beginning and the end of it all. And I think it is the most important piece, and we don't do that enough.
Yeah, love yourself. Love it. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, I would say dare to be seen for who you truly are, your true authentic self, and be willing to expose the hidden treasures of your authentic self-expression.
Beautiful. Thank you. Sue.
I would say my parting message is lighten up and enjoy yourself and laugh with yourself.
Yes, for all of us recovering perfectionists, that is exactly what we need to hear, right? Yes, thank you. Douglas.
I'll just say, go into every situation, no judgment. No
judgment. Beautiful. Yes. Any parting words from you, Rosie?
I would just like to remind everyone that one small step makes a huge difference.
I like that. Yes. And for me, it is that self-belief. Listen to the whispers of your soul. Listen to the little nudges that are coming, and do not let your ego or your fear tell you that you do not deserve to take the opportunities that your higher self wants you to take. And with that said, I want to thank all of you for your contribution to this incredible book. Apologies for the background if you can hear it. It's very noisy outside. That's why we're wrapping up as well. So everybody has to say something about Beyond Conditioning. Do get, including whatever that is out there. So we'll take it lightly. Do get the copy of this book, and make sure that these incredible, wise women and men can become bestsellers, so that we can create the ripple effect that we have the potential to create. Thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you again at another time. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you all.